Of course, we have noticed massive changes. There's a huge movement from the tendency of the past to the tendencies that this government have tried to instill in all of us. And it is those people who are expecting El Dorado, those people who are expecting us to move from earth to heaven, that think that change has not occurred. But most of us did not expect that kind of paradise. We knew, of course, it was going to be difficult. And we know, of course, there's still a tortuous journey, but we have started to change our mentalities. For instance, people are no longer expecting that there should be free money flowing from government that they've not worked for. We want to instill a culture of discipline, a culture of hard work, a culture of earning especially what you work for. That is the kind of culture that this government is trying to instill. Like the Vice President said, this kind of humongous corruption, where you just dip hand in the treasury, you bring out 3 billion. You dip hand in the treasury, bring out 100 billion. Indiscriminate grand corruption is over. That is the first change we are saying. It's not happening again. Grand corruption has been destroyed to its barest minimum. And of course, one of the most significant of changes that is happening now, if you notice, is that so much has been achieved with very little resources. So it shows that government can achieve so much if it eliminates corruption, if it eliminates greed. In the past, let us be honest about it. For every contract, you will hear the number of people interested in that contract. And that's why they will build it up from 100 million to 3 billion. And what will you hear in those days? The first lady is interested. Oga is interested. The minister of this is interested. Everybody is interested. Party chairman is interested. Party secretary is having inside this contract. Have you heard that again? That was the culture. I'm being honest. We are all Nigerians, so we should not run away from what we know happened. And the perception is very important. The change in the perception of the number one citizen. That is the biggest change we have noticed now. In fact, if you go and tell somebody now that you are inflating this contract from 100 million to 2 billion, because the president is interested, the person will first ask you, are you sane? That will be the first reaction. Are you talking about the Buhari I know? But before, that was the norm. The perception before was that it could happen. That is how low we thought of the president before. But we have an exalted view of the office of the president now. We know that this man is one of the most austere, one of the most honest African leaders. I didn't say so. The American president said so. I didn't say so. The African heads of state said so. When they say, come and lead the anti-corruption war. And now they have even made the chairman of EFCC, the chairman of anti-corruption agencies in Africa. These are the unbiased, apolitical views. The views you are seeing within Nigeria are the babble of voices of politicians. So don't listen to what is happening in Nigeria. Go outside the shores of Nigeria. What are they saying outside? We are the envy of the world now in terms of the anti-corruption crusade. If this president was involved in hiding money somewhere in one island, the Americans have intelligence on almost all leaders of the world and their status regarding corruption. This man is an enigma. You don't see it anywhere in Africa.
Let me explain something about recovery. When you get a recovery figure, it's not necessarily cash. So if I recover a building, it may be worth 3 billion, but that's not 3 billion in cash. And I can't sell it today because I probably won't get 3 billion. So what we've done in many of those cases is we have reallocated those properties to government agencies to use as offices. So you'll find that the presidential initiative on the Northeast is actually occupying a house that was built by one of the service chiefs who's currently under trial. Sometimes these recoveries are cars, sometimes they're boats, sometimes they're property. And that's the problem with looting, because what it does is it takes cash out, but you don't necessarily get cash back. So that's the problem. So when people hear the figure, they think, if you've got all that, carry on, but I can't use a house to build a road. I've got to find a buyer, so, and in this market, often you can't get buyers, and that's the tragedy that corruption brings. Now, to the subject of indebtedness, I would like you to think about what have we used the money for? That's what you've got to look at. If I am building a road, and think about most of our major roads, 40 years, 50 years, those roads will still be here. Those are the sorts of investments that grow an economy. You have to do it. There is no way around it. You cannot grow your economy if you don't have power, if you don't have road, if you don't have rail. It's not possible. We tried it when the oil price was high and we've seen what happened. Yes, the oil price was high, GDP growth was high, but development was very low. Unemployment was low. If you speak to many of the young people, and I get these text messages, you get young people, I graduated since 2008, no job. 2010, no job. Those people didn't graduate or come into the job market in this presidency. This has been a problem that has been building up because we failed to develop. We failed to grow the economy in such a way that could absorb these people. We failed to drive the economy in such a way that factories would open up and engage them, or businesses would open up and engage them. So there was a huge rebuilding job to be done, and that takes time. You know, it's like building a house. You've got to do the foundation, and it takes patience to see that, right, that foundation's in place now, it's time to start coming out of the ground. And I think that's the level at which the Nigerian economy is at the moment. Things are really starting to look better, and then there'll be a rapid progress thereafter, but you've got to put the foundations in place.
This administration has fought corruption like no other. We had come in at a time when corruption had become the norm. It's accepted as being normal, part of our daily life. All of that has changed now, because attitudinally, people no longer accept corruption as being part of normal life. Government has recovered so much money, it's no longer business as usual. Public servants, as we speak now, when they see government money, they get scared.
They are degraded. Corruption. The kind of looting that took place in this country was humongous. Remember when Sanusi was saying the looting that was going on? A lot of people did not believe him. They thought he was just a tribal jingoist. But the first had proved him right. If consciously the Nigerian people will give support to Mr. President, the day there's transparency, it then means more savings will be done. Because a transparent manager has the greatest chances of execution of projects than the non-transparent type. Yes, it's not halted yet or stamped out truly, but to a certain degree. And the society is also looking inwards, trying to know that there are no-go areas. While his change mantra is on course, because he puts public interests above his personal interests. That is the magic.
His stealings were so much until Buhari came. In terms of billions of naira were recovered. We see some of them, especially these days, when they steal, they will become sick. You are stealing 9 billion, 6 billion, 2 billion, you are not sick. But the moment you are caught and taken to the court, you are not a sick man. Either you have diabetes, or you have cancer, or you have high blood pressure. So that's what has been happening. We get these positive reactions now because Buhari is there. Before then, they were stealing without mercy. I remember the one that was telling the court that we should have mercy on him because the prisons are congested. But he forgot when he was stealing the billions that the prisons were congested. And the same person said that he should have mercy because the judge is a Christian. But he forgotten that when he was stealing, he was a Christian. So all this happened because of Buhari. There's one great thing that Buhari did. 3 past presidents, they couldn't do anything about it. I'm not talking about the democratic presidents now. June 12th. A lot of people died on that day. They pushed it aside as if it's nothing. As if there was nothing like June 12th. As if people didn't die. As if a man didn't win an election. But Baba surprised everybody. Like I always say, the man that is full of surprises. He has his targets. At the right time, he hits it. He marveled the whole nation. In fact, the whole world when he announced June 12th, the Democracy Day. When he recognized MKO Abiola, this is historic. It's the best he has ever done for us Nigerians, because that particular election was the beginning of the democracy in this country, and he should be recognized. And he did. He actually recognized that day, and he gave honor to whom honor is due.